Hey guys, this is Sgt Slumbers ASMR, back with another video. This time we're all about Batman. What I have you for today, and what I have for you today is my Batman collection, or some of, my Batman comics, but most specifically, my Batman graphic novels. So I made a video about my DC Combat Comics collection so far, and I had some Batman stories there, like The Long Halloween, The Court of Owls, Hush. But right now, these are the graphic novels that I collected over the years that are Batman-centric stories. I think I've mentioned this before, that I'm not really a huge, or I may not, but I'm not a the number one Batman fan, but like I'm more of a Superman guy. But like, damn, the Batman stories are just peak. Like, in hindsight, as I've read a handful of stories around Batman, you know, like there's a reason why he's always pushed in front when it comes to DC. You know, he's always in the spotlight. He's always on top. You know, on par with Superman, of course, but I'd say there are a lot of great Batman stories, and it's already given. Just like what I have for you today. So actually, these are four graphic novels that are, they're all hardcover, but one is in paperback form. So, of course, one of my favorites. This is Batman: The Dark Knight Returns. The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller. Frank Miller with Klaus Janson. I hope I pronounced that correctly. By Lynn Varley. So, as you can see, this is the hardcover version, the release. That came with the Dark Knight Returns movie in the deluxe format, like parts 1 and 2, the animated two-part animated adaptation that was released in 2012 and 2013 respectively. So, one of Time Magazine's top 10 graphic novels of all time. Even Stephen King had his praise with, and the Washington Post. So, for those that really pierced through the comics industry and all of like literature, because it was around like the mid 80s. You know, you had like Crisis on Infinite Earths, you had that, and soon after, like in 1986 and all that, 1987, you had Watchmen by Alan Moore, and then also around that time, this one came out. So this really, put Batman into a more darker tone that wasn't really being published around that time, because there was a period where Batman, of course, he started out during the Golden Age, and Silver Age just became campy, which I'm not taking jabs, but it was like, you have the Adam West Batman, the campiness, and the overall lighthearted tone. So for a while, the Batman comics have been, treating Batman into that kind of tone. But this was where Frank Miller really decided to bring all the seriousness, the dark and gritty atmosphere that has, eventually inspired, Zack Snyder's take on Batman, what inspired The Dark Knight Rises by Christopher Nolan. So, this iconic image here of Batman is actually a panel. It's actually a panel in the comic series. So, yeah, this is the print that was, as I've said, that came with the animated DVD. Sorry about that. Okay, so they're not here anymore. I put them in a small case that is in our DVD collection. So it had the two-parter condensed in one film, while I previously had the two parts separately on DVD. It was released that way initially, and then you also had bonus features. Or was it? I'm not sure if it's bonus features or was it an ultraviolet, a different disc for. It's not blue. Was it Blu-ray? It may. I don't know. But okay, going back. So, Dark Knight Returns really is. It's one of the first few, stories, graphic novels that I owned. Before this, I just got this a couple of years ago on the secondhand market, but I actually owned this around over a decade now before it was in paperback form, and then of course I sold it because I got this. But yeah, I was younger, and then I was really immersed into this darker take on Batman. Batman is in his later years in retirement. And yeah, he's really out of the picture. But eventually, he comes back. This is a iconic image. I also own this, the McFarlane figure of this, but it's the one with the black, not the blue. There are moments when I dig the blue and gray costume for Batman, but I'm always team black and gray. So yeah, he finds a new Robin in Gary Kelly. So it's like a not too distant future, where Batman is all alone in his journey, and then of course you also have Superman enters the picture here. it's Reagan, but yeah, here's Superman. And obviously, if you've seen the Batman v Superman movie, the fight sequences there is heavily inspired from this. And I also love the Joker here. It's really more of the same Joker, but again, just like Batman, like a much older Joker, but still unhinged. We have this sequence here at the riots, and if you don't know, Batman is voiced by the one who played RoboCop. I'm sure Peter. I can't think of the name, but you know what I mean. The actor who played RoboCop, that voice really, I love his Batman voice, and every time I read this again, from time to time, I would imagine his voice. There you go, this iconic panel here of Batman and Superman squaring off. Such an iconic image here, look at that. But yeah, so this is the cover that I owned, the paperback version that I owned. So you have some extras here on this edition. You got some scripts. Have some, work in progress art, pencils, illustrations, and all that. So that's kind of cool. Getting back to the drawing board, literally. And yeah. So Batman: The Dark Knight Returns. Again, I recommend this very highly. If you're starting to, well, don't start with this if you haven't read any Batman comic. I would say if you've read, maybe 2 or 3 definitive stories, you can get your eyes, lay your eyes on the panels and the beauty and overall great Batman: The Dark Knight Returns. Next up we have Batman: The Killing Joke by Alan Moore and Brian Bolland. Introduction by Tim Sale. So this is actually just it's actually just, a deluxe prestige. I don't know what the terms I've been mixing. I'm mixing all the comic terms, but when it was released, it isn't. It's just a one-off story. That's why it's very thin, and it's like a single issue, but the pages are much longer, and the story structure is contained. So this is Batman: The Killing Joke. I love the panels here, very reminiscent of Watchmen, because of course Alan Moore worked on Watchmen, but yeah, this really delves in. Well, I would say it's more of like a Joker story than Batman, but they're still they're dance partners. But yeah, this is Joker's story, so spoilers. I just showed you that pivotal moment where Joker shoots Barbara Gordon, leaving her paralyzed. So this was really important in DC history, because since then, from being Batgirl, she became Oracle, the one Felicity Smoke from Arrow, the one behind the chair, the one guiding Batman, communicating and all that. But in comics, retcons happen, of course, and eventually he returned to being Batgirl a couple of years later, but I'm not sure now, because I haven't been caught up with a lot of comics in terms of the continuity, or the lack thereof, if you know what I mean. Because everything in comics is just relative. DC right now, they have this thing called the Omniverse, where I can't really define it properly, but the timeline is always continuing. Like, it all begins with Superman. Like, Superman is such an important piece in a meta sense, with, of course, with the overall DC history, but also in the DC universe per se. Yeah. So here's when Joker takes on the Red Hood. This isn't Jason Todd Red Hood, but this is like an origin of Joker, where he falls in the chemicals. So he's a criminal before being the Joker. But it's a really great interesting Joker story. It's packed with like great dialogue and, overall amazing art. Sorry. So yeah, this is The Killing Joke. It's such an one of the iconic comic book covers of all time. Even Tim Burton loves the story. So it revolves around like one bad day. Like, it takes one bad day before something just hits, and eventually it was Joker becoming Joker. So yeah, it's really interesting. If you're looking for, okay, you can start with this. I would say if you've been meaning to get into the Joker, if you've watched the films, the adaptations, the different great performances by the actors, you can dive deep into The Killing Joke. Okay, so we're down to the last two. Next up we have Batman 3 Jokers. Now, I would say it's kind of a mixed bag in terms of like reception from comic book fans and critics. Look at that amazing art by Jason Fabok. Who are the 3 Jokers? So, quick background with the 3 Jokers thing. It's written by Jeff Johns. This was around, the DC Rebirth era. Batman discovers that there are 3 Jokers for like different instances, or like crossing over and whatnot. So you had like the Joker killed the Red Hood, well, who initially killed Jason Todd, eventually became Red Hood, and then you have the Joker here, with the one with Barbara Gordon, The Killing Joke, as I've previously shown you guys. And I can't exactly remember who this Joker is. But yeah, this is like a part of the Black Label, DC Black Label imprint, which is out of continuity. It gives so much freedom to the writers to write stories without conforming to the main DC universe line. So you get stories such as this. So Batman 3 Jokers. So yeah, this was during DC Rebirth, where while the West came back, Dr. Manhattan entered the scene. So it was, I actually only read this one, so I can't remember a lot of this. I got this I got this pre-owned because it's much cheaper, obviously, and also it's still in great condition, just like brand new. So yeah, that's actually what I've been doing, because of course I'd still check the condition. Most of them are just still sort of brand new, like they've only been read like once, and the price is much lower than the standard price. So you get here the 3 Jokers, but you also get Batman, teaming up with Red Hood and Barbara Gordon's Batgirl. She's Batgirl again. This is DC Rebirth era. She became Batgirl again, I since the New 52, that whole reboot thing, which I won't discuss because it's complicated right now. So it involves these three heroes, squaring off with the Jokers and their, how each Joker affected them throughout. So it's a nice. I remember liking it, but yeah. So. Oops. That spine sound. Anyway, I love this cover here and the overall feel of this hardcover. Like, it's kind of matte finish. So yeah, that is Batman 3 Jokers. Next up we have All-Star Batman. Volume 2, Ends of the Earth, by Scott Snyder, Chalk, the artist. So this was actually given to me as a gift. I actually haven't read this yet, but it's part of my collection. And I've yet to check for Volume 1 because I'm a completionist. I don't want to start with Volume 2. So All-Star Batman, also part of like the DC Rebirth era. You have Scott Snyder. He wrote the New 52 series, the main Batman series, and then he came back with DC Rebirth, now with anthology-esque, like with All-Star Batman. So it's like, yeah. But that's only what I have to say for this because I haven't actually read this. Okay, let me read the back. So this is not a Batman story, it's a villain story. Oh, okay. So it's more of like highlighting the villains, the rogues gallery of Batman. I haven't actually read this. Maybe I'll pick up Volume 1 someday. And, read the entirety of All-Star Batman. So there you have it, folks. This is my Batman graphic novel collection. I haven't been collecting a lot of like hardcovers and paperbacks as of late. I'm switching to DC compacts now. But hey, maybe if I see something like a pre-owned one for a good price and it's a story that I want to read and own, then I'd be happy to collect them and add them to my collection. Okay, so this has been Sgt Slumbers ASMR. Thank you for all the support, I'm just a growing YouTube ASMR channel, and I appreciate, the views, the likes. If you're still here, thank you for finishing this video. I just love doing ASMR videos. And, as an ASMR listener myself, I like the feeling that I get to help with, for sleep, for tingles, for relaxation. So my years of ASMR listening on YouTube is, I get the feeling. And, yeah. Thank you guys for watching. I'd be glad to upload more comic-centric videos. So, thank you guys for watching. Good night.